Hey folks, this is Brian. Still waiting for dinner to start. So we're doing another installment of the Red Book of Magic. Now this is our final one for summoning spells. So obviously the S spells continue. And I gotta tell you, at first I thought this would be fairly short, but I don't think so because one of these suckers, after reading through it 3 or 4 times now, I'm still not sure exactly how things all tie together. But let's continue. Summon specific ancestor. Same as a Runequest book. Okay? Spell must be stacked, but it's a non-stackable spell. Stacked with. So again, cast simultaneously with summon ancestor. List the caster to call a specific ancestor that they already know. Someone they've already summoned. I like this guy. I want to keep using him. So next time I cast summon specific ancestor along with summon ancestor, and I get him or her. Right? Okay, good to go. Summon Spirit of Law. I'm not sure why you would even do this. But it summons a weak spirit. Why would you want to summon a weak spirit? Power is 2d6 plus 6. Charisma is 2d6. And the only thing it can do is engage in spirit combat with a chaotic target. The spirit has a spirit combat skill. It's power times 5. It has no spells. All he does is engage spirit combat with chaotic targets. And if it shows up and there's no chaotic targets, it goes away. Okay. Summon Spirit Teacher. Same. Again, must be stacked, but it's a non-stackable spell. So it must be cast simultaneously with the 1-point Summon Ancestor spell as opposed to the Summon Ancestor spell. We didn't say 1 point previously. There's only one Summon Ancestor spell. Summon Ancestor. It's 1 point. Okay. The Spirit so summoned can teach spells. They can give information. They can even act as a shaman's fetch, which means you use their magic points and you add their power and you can use their charisma to hold spells. You get access to all their stuff. That's significant, right? For the length of the spell, which I'm assuming is 15 minutes, since we didn't say anything special about duration, right? It allows rapid teaching of spells to be learned in 1 day. So does that mean we have to automatically extend it to 1 day? And it may be stacked. We mean cast simultaneously with summon specific ancestor. So if you want to summon a specific ancestor to be a spirit teacher, you need to cast summon ancestor, summon specific answer, and summon spirit teacher simultaneously. Yeah, I guess a little convoluted. Okay, summon tidal wave, new spell, must be cast at sea. Excuse me. Each point stacked with this spell gives a 1% chance of summoning a tidal wave. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? But it doesn't say you can have multiple casters, like the low drill thing. Why not? I think you can. It says it's stackable. When we talk about stacking, is it sea summon low drill? So you can get multiple guys casting, so you actually have a decent % chance to cast this thing, right? Okay. It summons a tidal wave, a huge water elemental that's too powerful for even a command spell. Well, even for a command spell, right? This tidal wave charges towards land, the direction specified by the caster, the summoner. Moves with incredible speed until it approaches shore because, the whole water thing, right? Volume. At which point it rises to a huge wall of water and gets to land and may travel several kilometers inland. Okay. Summons evil. Never dealt with this spell before, never really looked at it in the book. Okay. Last one we're doing, right? Okay. This spell typically performed at the start of a worship or length ritual, meaning ceremony. Worship ceremony, right? We can use ritual practice to increase our worship skill percentage during a worship ceremony. Words mean things here, guys. Words mean things. Okay. It requires making an effigy of an enemy of the caster. Okay, it's typically a summoner, but caster, right? Okay. So I'm casting this spell. I'm summoning the summons of evil. The effigy has to be an enemy of mine. It can be an individual, a deity, a species, whatever, right? Okay. The effigy is typically made of wood or wicker, good to go. When cast a spell animates the effigy, good to go. With a malevolent spirit, good to go. Associated with the enemy, good to go. It also summons the most powerful representative of that enemy it can during the duration of the ritual, but we actually mean ceremony. That gets down here on the 4th paragraph, okay? But what we don't reference here is it can has to do with range, which again is tied to duration, which is tied in the 4th paragraph. So it's kind of convoluted here. Then we go right into the spirit, okay? Instead of discussing more about it, we go right into the spirit, right? Has a power of 46 plus 6, no, between 46 plus 6 and 56 plus 6, but more power spirits are not unknown, right? Okay. This spirit with this huge amount of power is trapped within an effigy and its boundaries. What boundaries does an effigy have? It's bound to the effigy, period, as far as I know. If you guys know something different, let me know. Okay. Until the end of the ritual. Do we mean the ritual of the spell, or do we mean the ceremony of the worship? Because they are, well, they're connected. They are two different sorts of things, I think. So it gets convoluted. Okay. Okay. Spirit's trapped in the effigy until the end of the ritual. Okay. At which point, it says when the participants must destroy the effigy. So we've got a ritual. At the end of the ritual, we destroy the effigy. The ritual and the ceremony, assuming, are going to be the same duration. And that duration gives you a range of what this other representative is going to come from. Okay. During this time, which time are we talking about? We're talking about the entire ceremony of the ritual, or are we talking about the end of the ritual when we must destroy it? So it doesn't do anything until we attempt to kill it? Or does when we actually destroy it actually end the ritual? Because the ritual will give us bonuses to our worship skill for that duration, half hour or more, right? So does it not do anything until we attack? Which gives us all that time, which increases our range for this other creature to come? I don't know. I honestly do not know. Okay. And of course, it can fight back with any abilities it possesses, whether it's magic or otherwise. I think that's obvious, okay? The spirit has hit points and a strength equal to its power. Okay. Why do we need to know its strength? Because if it's physically attacking us, it can give a damage bonus, in which case we need to have a size based upon the effigy size. Should we not determine how big this effigy is? No. Typically 2d6 plus 6. What if we made a giant? I don't know. It always has one or more spirit powers. Good to go. Okay. Next paragraph. If the effigy is destroyed, okay, I'm assuming if we do not destroy the effigy, it has killed all of us. In which case, we don't care what happens. So I would assume it's more of when. When the effigy is destroyed, the participants gain these two things. A plus 20 bonus in overcoming the magic resistance of or defense against spells cast by the enemy represented by the effigy for the duration of this ceremony, meaning the worship ceremony. So during this ritual worship ceremony thing, right, this other enemy is going to show up we haven't talked about yet, but we get bonuses against it. Okay. We also get a plus 50 on our worship roll for this ceremony because it's a ritual bonus. We get an additional plus 50. So if we did it for a half an hour, which is plus 35, we get a plus 85, right? If we do it for 2 weeks, it's plus 65, plus 50 gives us a plus 115, right? Okay. Well, and as a side mark, as a result, the rune points cast on this spell are usually regained at the end of the ceremony. Well, duh. Usually? Well, you get a plus 50, you're usually going to get your rune points back. Okay. Sorry. Okay, while the effigy is present, so before we've destroyed it, and between the start of the worship Orlanth ritual and the point where we destroy it, during that time, right? Okay, while the effigy is present, the spell summons the most powerful representative of the enemy within the range of the spell. We should have put that in like the second or first paragraph. Okay, this enemy, a physical person, not the effigy, a physical person represented by the effigy, right? Within range, based upon how long we cast this, but we haven't got to that point yet, is going to come. This representative of the enemy is going to come. He does not realize that does not realize it's being summoned, right? But rather it feels an urge or need to go to this place where the ritual is taking. I need to go to Clearwine. I just know it. They're doing something, and I can take them out now. Okay. And then there's this whole semi-paragraph on this compulsion makes rational and emotional sense to the subject. Oh, okay. And while this is going on, this representative, this strongest representative of the effigy, is doing stuff, right? Enemy hastily takes time to gather companions, followers, and allies, and sets out by whatever means would be normal for the enemy to travel. For example, an army leader might march out with his regiment, good to go, or at least his bodyguards and favored officers. However, something like a women riding hero just might fly there, good to go. Now we get to range. Okay, the strongest, the most powerful representative of the effigy within the range, and the range is determined by duration. Yeah, so the longer the ceremony is maintained, we're talking about the ritual practice that gives us a bonus to our worship skill for the worship ceremony. All this time increases the range. So if you did a 1-day worship ceremony, which by the way gives you a plus 50, so you got a plus 100, assuming you kill the effigy. The spell will summon the most powerful enemy represented by the effigy that's within 1 day's travel. Okay. So 1 day from Clearwine, that travel, where's the most powerful brew or whatever, within that range, that's the guy coming. And it also mentions, hey, if you're taking the entire 2 weeks of sacred time, that's a 200-kilometer range. And as I mentioned, plus 65 plus 50. Okay, so kind of convoluted. But get this, there's more. But wait, there's more. If the caster has a hero questing enemy of the effigy, or just any enemy that happens to be out of hero questing, the spell always tries to summon that being. Okay, what do you mean by tries? Does this being get a power versus power from the caster in resistance roll? Or is there something else? What do we mean by tries? Okay. And this special hero questing enemy is in addition to the enemy typically summoned by the effigy, which is the most powerful within range. Okay. Once effigy is destroyed, that enemy that's coming inbound is no longer compelled to travel. Unless, some other thing, since he's already got all these guys, might as well go sack Clearwine anyway. Yeah. Okay, so if I'm doing a half-hour ritual to increase my worship ceremony bonus, right? What's within a half hour of clear wine that's the most powerful representative of this effigy? They're half an hour out. It's going to take them a half an hour to get there. So they get there at the end of the half hour. We have to destroy the effigy at the end of the half hour. Maybe it all culminates at the end of the ritual ceremony. You've got to kill the effigy plus the other guy shows up. That almost makes some sense to me. Almost. But what if he's closer than that half hour? He gets there before you have to kill the effigy. So you have to kill him, and then you kill the effigy. If anybody knows better, please let me know. Happy gaming. Happy holidays.